Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is John and this is your Modern Tech Breakdown. Today I'm taking a look at some news from Mark Gurman at Bloomberg about when we can expect some of the new Siri features mentioned at WWDC. Let's jump into it. So it's a quick article. I'll just read a couple sentences here so you get the gist. Apple's big Siri upgrade should arrive next spring. The digital assistant will have precise control over actions inside of Apple's apps. It also will have the ability to understand what you're looking at on your display, but neither of those upgrades will be ready when Apple Intelligence launches this fall, as I've previously reported. All right, so Apple did a good job at articulating their AI roadmap at WWDC a few months ago. They got some positive press and the stock price reacted well. One of the items discussed was a more helpful Siri and a Siri that could more or less interact with apps on your behalf. This feature, if done well, would dramatically enhance the usefulness of Siri. However, technically, this is probably a bit more difficult to pull off than the average iPhone user expects. In fact, Apple announced new APIs at WWDC as part of its App Intense framework that will provide a way for app makers to integrate with Siri in a precise way. This type of integration will require app makers to modify their apps to include this. I suspect Apple knows that it will need to have some compelling use cases available when the upgrade rolls out in order to get customers to use the feature. Therefore, I think they're buying app makers some time to work on their apps to use this new API. It's a pretty simple chain of events. Apple has to make and release the API. Apple probably has to pitch the new API to garner some buy-in from app makers. And then the app makers have to modify their apps, launch new versions, and then customers can benefit from the new Siri. So all these steps take some time. And it's not surprising that the launch is going to be perhaps a little bit later than we initially expected. For me, I really hope Apple can make this work. I think it could really improve Siri's usefulness and potentially create a new way of interacting with your devices. Lastly, this article mentions that Siri will be able to see what is on your screen and use that information in its responses. I wonder if apps will have to implement with App Intense API in order to integrate with Siri, or if Siri will be able to utilize the information from the screen and manipulate the UI as if Siri was the user by sending swipes and clicks to the app. That'd be very powerful, but I think it'd be pretty challenging technically. This type of feature exists on desktop operating systems through a technology called RPA, Robotic Process Automation. Those tools have to be set up and typically run very clear logic set up by a skilled user. Definitely not something a mainstream user would do. I'd be really impressed if Apple could pull that off in a way that the mainstream user could set up. Apple hasn't said that they're building this, but maybe they're thinking about it, or perhaps it's on the roadmap, but I think it's certainly possible, although definitely seems difficult. And that about wraps it up for this topic for today. As always, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.